The original work of Su Qing's autobiographical novel 10 Years of Marriage Chapter 6, Raising a Daughter's Yan sent me home. My parents-in-law were all smiling, but Xingying's face was cold. She said, "Sister-in-law, congratulations on raising a baby son. I know you will definitely raise a boy." My face turned red and I thought, how can I guarantee that my son is not a son? What if I raise one tomorrow's Yan will go back to Shanghai again, and at night our whole family will sit in the wing chatting. Xian's father said, "I have never done anything immoral in my life. Now that Luoyang is pregnant, if he is really a boy, I think his name will be Changed." Then the mother-in-law said, "Changed. Changed is great. Luoyang must be raising a boy because his belly is completely protruding in the front. His head is pointed, his waist is not thick, and his body does not look like a big belly in the back." Xingying's predecessor curled her lips and sneered, "It's so satisfying to raise a boy. In the future, he will become the emperor. Brother, you will be the supreme emperor, and your young mistress will be the empress dowager." Xian smiled unnaturally and raised his eyes. When he looked at me, I frowned and lowered my head. My mother-in-law asked me, "Luoyang, do you feel that your belly button is very hard, and it always feels like a small fist is holding it up?" Which is funny and sad at the same time. I nodded slightly, shyly, and could no longer raise my head. When she glanced at her mother-in-law's face, she smiled proudly. "I know it's difficult to raise a boy." The boy stretched out his belly and winked, while the girl only changed her waist and touched it itchingly along the mother's waist. Xian's father touched his beard. His face was full of joy, but he pretended to be serious and lectured Xian. "Why don't you hurry up and pay attention in the future? You have a son, which is really amazing." Xian seemed to agree nonchalantly. "No, not if you don't agree." When they went back to bed, Xian assigned them to sleep in the study, but he was afraid that I would be timid if I stayed alone. So he asked Xingying to come over and sleep with me in the same bed. It was really bad. I really wanted to look at the glass door of the closet to see if my belly was protruding in front and pointed. But Xingying was embarrassed, and Xingying seemed to be staring at me fiercely. Her cheeks, the bones are taller, and the thick yellow hair is as messy as a ghost. Where are its people? Where is Yan? Their voices and smiles were far away, and I was left alone in a strange home. The only thing I loved most was a piece of flesh in my belly. Was it a boy or a woman? After Yan left, my parents-in-law treated me very well. He prepared food for me every day, including chicken, duck, and Crucian carp soup. He wished he could feed me like a Maitreya Buddha. During the meal, when the food was served, my father-in-law said, "This is for blood." So my mother-in-law quickly moved in front of me, so that I would not reach out to pick up the food from a distance and disturb the umbilical cord. Xingying stopped eating out of anger, saying she had a headache. My father-in-law said, "Then it's better not to sleep in the same bed with Luoyang at night, in case the patient becomes unstable and has nightmares and kicks her in the stomach." Thank God, I can finally lie quietly on the big mahogany bed and think about everything. When my mother knew I was back, she sent people to visit me several times and brought a lot of food. She didn't dare to pick me up in Ginning. She was afraid that she might accidentally break her belly and she couldn't bear the responsibility. She asked someone to tell me, "Just take good care of your health quietly. If you have a fat boy, even grandma's family will be proud of it." When I was about to give birth, Xian also went home for the summer vacation. He still stayed in the study room and talked with me in the room for a while during the day. My parents-in-law would make excuses to ask him out because they were afraid that we would do inappropriate things during the day. Xian said, "It's really annoying to have children. Ruixian has never had any children from the time she got married to the time she became a widow." I cried and argued with him. "Since you like Ruixian, why did you marry me? I'll divorce you after I raise the child." When Xian quarrels with me, his parents scold him. So Xingying is always angry but dare not speak out. And Aunt Huang, an old maid in the Xian family, was always there to protect me, lest I accidentally fall or eat something cold. One day like this, my mother chose an auspicious day to give birth to me. First, they sent someone to inform them, and then they brought a bunch of colorful things from the two communities. They were all for babies, including swaddling clothes, socks, a yellow cloth jacket with an extra collar, and a little scholar's coat embroidered with green-white satin and inlaid with silver thread. The scholar's hat is also forged and has 2 long embroidered ribbons. My child should be a boy, like a little scholar, like his father, Xian, but not like me. Neighbors came to see Zhang's clothes and hats, and they all said they were embroidered by Grandma and praised them endlessly. Xingying had a headache again, and her mother-in-law ignored her and hurried upstairs to get another big red package. When she unwrapped it, she found that it was also full of small clothes and hats, which she and Aunt Huang made. At night, I sewed while driving away mosquitoes. She said that the clothes made by her grandma were so exquisite that she had no choice but to wear them when the baby was older. They made some cloth shirts and jackets that were durable. She dyed the yellow cloth herself, and she wanted to watch the baby wear it to live a long life. Zhang Ailing, Ren the grandfather, is thinking of names for his upcoming grandson every day. The word D is indispensable, and the pronunciation of D is the same. If he gets one after another, the more children he will have, the better, but he himself said that his wish was not too extravagant. He just wanted to have 4 grandsons, so it was best to pick out 4 names and place them there. But the one name Shidi refused to come out. On the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th day of the lunar month, the whole family waited nervously and excitedly. Brown sugar, longevity noodles, longan, and red dates were all given as gifts. There are more and more babies coming, but my mother-in-law said I shouldn't eat them when I'm almost 1 month old for fear that the baby will be too fat and difficult to come down. My belly was as big as a pot. My feet and calves were also swollen, and I had difficulty moving. How painful is it to raise a child? I shamelessly asked the neighbor women several times, but they were all worried and pretended not to be serious and told me, "It's not bad, it hurts some, but still okay." I was extremely scared. Xian didn't seem to worry about me. His parents were responsible for everything he did. I had no one to share my pain. I can't even ask how to raise such an old child. I looked through pregnant women's hygiene knowledge and parenting, but they were just a few terms: labor pains and abdominal pressure. They were almost the same, and no one explained them. So I thought of the person who bought these books. Who was there? Maybe he can take away some of my worries here. Although of course he is also a layman in these matters. He cares about me, and everyone here seems to only care about children. Thinking of him, I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. When I just turned around, there was a slap, and something seemed to burst in my belly. And then a burst of hot water poured out. I couldn't help but be startled, and kept shaking and calling Aunt Huang. Aunt Huang couldn't tell. This is the amniotic water broke. So I wanted to sit up, but she told me not to move. She lit a lamp and woke up my mother-in-law. Xingying also came to join in the fun, and Xian and his father went to ask for a Western doctor. So the neighbor women came over, and the children also came over. They asked me if my stomach hurt, and I shook my head and said no. My teeth were chattering, and I looked at the room full of people. It seemed that they were all saviors and relatives. Please never leave me. But as soon as the Western doctors arrived, they all dispersed, and they only looked through the crack in the door. The Western doctor asked me to get out of bed temporarily. He wanted to make the bed better and cover it with straw paper and white sheets. But I resisted and refused to come down. The Western medicine doctor said it was too early for me to be recuperated, so I should rest assured. After repeated persuasion, I was helped to the center of the room, shaking, and my stomach still didn't hurt. The bed was made, and the Western doctor told me to sleep on it and disinfect my lower body first. After the disinfection was completed, I was only covered with a layer of white cloth, which was light inside. There were people laughing outside the door. Western medicine said, "Don't you have stomach pain? Eat something hot." The mother-in-law replied that the ginseng soup was ready and Hui Qing should hurry up and drink more. While I was eating the ginseng soup with fear, I thought to myself that this time it would be over. If I could be saved, I would rather get divorced immediately and go out to live with my mother. Xiang acts as if nothing is wrong. All men act as if nothing is wrong at critical moments, leaving the pain and danger to women alone. Even the people cannot help me feel the pain in my stomach. Slowly, my stomach really started to hurt, but it wasn't harmful. The doctor tried it with his hands and said, "It's still early. It will take at least 7 or 8 hours." I really want to cry. I said, "Doctor, Can you please do an operation? The doctor shook his head and went to sort out the leather bag he had brought. He took out many shiny steel things, maybe plated with nickel. I was done. The pain in my stomach became severe. After a while, the pain stopped. After a while, the pain started again. Later, the pain was more frequent and less frequent, and the pain became more severe. It was almost unbearable. I gritted my teeth and pulled the bed rail to endure the pain. Western medicine says, don't move your buttocks, but I really feel that I have to move it, and I want to pee and defecate. The Western medicine doctor said, if you want to have a bowel movement, just lie on the bed. I shook my head and refused, but I couldn't sit up. I just held the bed rail and went into the position. No. It seemed like I was trying my best. Xian stood beside the bed, frowning. I suddenly felt pity and said to him with tears, please go to bed quickly, I have nothing. He waved his hand to stop me from speaking in a hurry, as if he was afraid that I would be struggling. The mother-in-law stood far away, worried but anxiously asking the Western doctor, is it coming soon? The Western doctor shook his head and said, the opening of the uterus is not big yet, but I really can't bear the pain anymore. If I want to die, I'd better die soon. I took a look at the things in the new house. They were brand new and dazzlingly bright. There were many, many things, but none of them belonged to me. My mother has not been seen for more than half a year, and I may not see her again in the future. Mom, I couldn't help but burst into tears, and the baby's head came in again. The doctor said, the baby's head has reached its peak. But I calmed down, and the baby's head went in again. I kept going like this again and again. And no matter how much time passed, I became a little lost, and I no longer even had the fear or sadness in my mind. I just felt that I couldn't make the decision around me and didn't know what to do. The pain doesn't feel like pain. I want to have a bowel movement, but I can't. It feels like there is a big thing blocking the back. I push it in hard, but it just can't come out. The white sheet has long been removed, and the lower body is exposed. I don't feel cold, let alone ashamed. I said to Xian, go to sleep. Xian said, I want to accompany you. I said, suppose I die? He replied, I will never marry for the rest of my life. I don't want to marry for the rest of my life. I thought to myself, I'm afraid Ruixian won't be able to tolerate you either. It's my misfortune. The pain is mine, and the joy and happiness are all mine to bear. What are the benefits of getting married? As long as you have a stomachache once, you will never care about a man again. Hateful child, cursed birth. If this so-called virtue comes out, I will definitely ignore it and let him starve to death. It hurts. It hurts. The pain is so unbearable. At first I cried. Then my voice became hoarse. Then I just couldn't breathe. And then even my strength was weak. The doctor said, cut it. I felt cold while running. It looked like it was cracking. And something very big came out. And after another burst of air, it slipped out, followed by the sound of a baby crying. My eyes were closed tightly. And there seemed to be something left to clean up underneath. And the hot blood was gushing out again. I thought, don't let it get into the child's eyes. So I weakly whispered, doctor, please be careful of the child. The doctor didn't even answer, and just grabbed my abdomen hard. After a few grasps, the fetus was born. My heart was filled with comfort, as if I had been relieved of a great disaster. I just feel that the whole universe has been clarified. Mother and father-in-law, please forgive me for my past and filial piety. Xian, please forgive me for my past mistakes. Even Xingying and even Ruixian, I have to ask you to forgive me. I will no longer be as petty as you. I already have a child. I already have the most precious child. When you have a child, no matter who you are, you must be a good person, because mothers in the world are the kindest. After becoming a mother, it is not difficult to be kind. No matter how pure her heart is, she only has one child and wants nothing else. I dare not think about cherries anymore. Wow, wow, my child cried beautifully. The voice was so loud. Although I have never seen him, the electric light was so bright that I couldn't open my eyes. Once I saw him, I believed that he was healthy, beautiful, and smart. His name is whatever is good, but it is a vulgar, crude, and stupid word. As my child's name, it sounds pleasant and cute when pronounced. Jumping, my heart was jumping, and my feet almost jumped, but the doctor held me down and told me not to move. He sewed me up, stitch by stitch, which hurt my heart and liver, but I stopped shouting. I just held my breath and listened. At first there were cries, and in the cries there was Aunt Huang's voice asking, "Are you talking about a government office or a little girl?" The Western doctor seemed to be too busy to pay attention. After a long while, he casually answered her, "It's a woman." Suddenly the whole room fell silent, and the child seemed to have stopped crying. I just felt empty in my heart, and I didn't dare to open my eyes. I felt ashamed and was eavesdropping on others, as if I had done something wrong. There was a woman's voice at the door, said, "That's fine, bloom first, then bear fruit." Another voice said, "I will have a little brother next year." The mother-in-law seemed to cough and said nothing. Xingying rushed in and stood in front of my bed and said to the doctor, "Can you let me have a look? It turns out it's a girl. Why not change it to a boy?" I lay in bed listening to it and felt sad. The result of pain is that the masterpiece that I have cultivated with so much hard work over the past few months has been ruined to such an extent. Perhaps her grandfather was sighing now. Perhaps she thought that her name was not worthy of any virtue, and that it would only be called Zhao Di or Li De, as long as it was for good luck. Even the Western doctor, who had been busy most of the night, seemed to have done unnecessary things. No one needed him. They thought he was too busy and annoying. So why come to the unveiling? Reveal the boring character in this unpleasant scene. "Xing Mai, please take a good breather," Xian said close to my ear. My mother-in-law also said perfunctorily, "You can sleep a little longer." Then she went out. She called Xian and Xingying. The Western doctor went back to the hospital by herself. Aunt Huang went down to the kitchen to cook sugar noodles for me to eat. The baby and I fell asleep on the bed. She is next to me. I can see clearly and touch her little face. Red, very tender, with loose skin. Her hair is black and wet. Her eyes are slightly open. What is she looking at? She didn't want to see anyone, so she quietly ran away, leaving only her and her mother in the room. My girl, I love her. As long as she is by my side, I can endure anything. I can ignore anything. Even if all the people in the world turn their backs on me, I can still smile at her alone. The supreme happiness made me forget all the pain and uneasiness. I felt that my girl was like a red forehead, so I gave her a nickname of Chichu.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.